Welcome to the Hudson Show. Coming up, a Travis Kelce marriage update.
Also, the Starbucks logo used to be what?
All that and more on the way next. A world record was broken in Hershey, Pennsylvania earlier this week, but it had nothing to do with chocolate. It had everything to do with teddy bears. Imagine this. Over 100,000 teddy bears raining down from the sky onto a hockey rink. That is what just took place where they, at the Hershey Bears game against the Providence Brewers earlier this week, it was teddy bear toss night. They broke the world record, which was also held at the Hershey Bears Stadium previously for the most teddy bears collected at a teddy bear toss game.
I mean, it looks insane if you see the video of it from the Hershey Bears account. It's crazy. Like the players are just, it looks like they're in a huge, I don't even know what you want to call it, a ball pit of teddy bears.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's like it's less like teddy bears raining down and more like an avalanche of teddy bears falling down on the ice. And think about this too. You like the Hershey Bears, a minor league hockey team. Mm-hmm. This is at their stadium. What would you say the attendance? What is the max capacity of this crowd?
I can't quite tell from the video because it only shows one small portion of the arena. Mm-hmm. But I mean, you probably maybe 10,000 people at the most.
No, I looked it up. It's about 10,000 people, and so it's 100,000 teddy bears. That means you do the math on that. If that's everybody in the stadium, it was sold out, bringing 10 teddy bears with them, which is crazy. That's crazy. All the people lugging in all those teddy bears on the way into the game. That must have been adorable to see.
Yes.
And the players, I see some jumping on the piles of teddy bears. Some are catching them. There's teddy bears of all sizes too. There are some of the full size, right. The size of a grown man teddy bears.
Yeah, there's some huge ones.
It is amazing. And of course, it is all for a good cause. They donate all of these. This is all for charity, and obviously not even just to one charity at this point because it's so many teddy bears. It says that they send them out to 35 different local charities in Pennsylvania. Some of them, to me at first, I was thinking wouldn't they do this before Christmas and give them out before Christmas? But it's not really that. It's more autism services and food banks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, and I imagine too, kids fighting cancer and stuff like that.
Yes.
So, all for very good causes too. So it's very sweet, very fun. Maybe not. How does it compare to the teddy bear toss game we saw where the players started fighting during the teddy bear toss?
Maybe not as viral of a moment as that one, but I will say I think it's so wholesome that the Hershey Bears, which is this hockey team that does this, continues to hold this record. It's so fitting. Yeah,
and they're a big deal there. I used to live not far from there. I knew a guy who played for the Hershey Bears, mm-hmm. and we'd meet him and get dinner afterwards and whatever. But the team is a big deal. A lot of minor league hockey teams, they are the highest level of minor league hockey.
Yeah.
But a lot of those teams, they play in one city for a while, then they get moved to another city because they get, whatever. But the Hershey Bears have been there forever, and they sell out games, not just the teddy bear toss, but all the time. They're a huge deal. So
that's awesome. I love that, that local community. Obviously, they clearly support if they're coming out and selling out the stadium for this and bringing 100,000 bears. But you can tell the community's fully invested in this team.
What a great promotion.
Yeah.
I can't wait till the next teddy bear toss.
Yes.
An entire year from now. We have a Travis Kelce marriage update. It's not what you're hoping, though. Travis Kelce has stated that he does not believe in people getting married in the fall whatsoever. This was in the New Heights podcast, of course. Him and his brother Jason, they were discussing wedding season, and he said that he doesn't think people should get married in the fall, and so he doesn't want to get married in the fall. Many of us might assume that that's because football is going on, right?
Right.
One, he'd be busy playing football, but two, he might sympathize with football fans that don't want to have to make the difficult choice. Do I go to the wedding? Do I pay attention to the wedding, or do I go to the game?
Right.
Do I have to miss the game entirely? I have to put my phone away and get the wedding. But it's nothing to do with that. He just seems to, in one form or another, feel like fall wedding season is cursed.
He just doesn't like it overall. He does point out that, if you are a football fan, it's not only something where like the wedding impacts it. It means every anniversary could also fall during like a big game day.
Hey, that's a good point.
And so he does point out the football aspect of it. But yeah, it just seems overall like he's just like fall is off limits. He's like, I'm okay with even a February wedding, but fall, no.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with him. I've said for a long time that what are you thinking getting married if you live in any state that has a big college football team? Even if you don't care about football at all, there are people in your family and people that you will invite. As much as they love you, they're going to be really upset and have to make a very difficult choice where they'll probably choose you, but
they won't be happy about it.
They'll be very upset. And weddings are supposed to be happy, fun times.
Right.
And you've got an entire summertime where you also don't have, I guess in the fall, you don't have to worry about weather impacting it as much either. But I know like the summer and the winter feel like more big for weddings, right?
I think the spring and early summer are the biggest seasons for weddings, because I know they always say, like May and June are like the wedding seasons.
Yeah.
You get lots of invitations for weddings if you're, in that age group of like friends are getting married or whatever. So yeah, I think that's typically the season. But recently, fall weddings have become more of a thing.
Yeah, which is problematic.
As an Ohio State fan, I will say I have had to have those moments before where it's like Ohio State or wedding. And it's like, I don't want to choose, I love both.
Why would people put you in that position?
Yeah, it stinks. Don't do that to someone.
Yeah, it's you quite possibly you're just really taken away from the excitement of your own wedding when you do that.
Right. You can't match the hype, right?
Yeah, exactly. Now, some that get married, I'm sure, would say, well, first of all, it's my big day, so I do what I want.
Right.
Some do that. Also, some say there's football games every single year. There's multiple of them. I only get hopefully only one wedding my entire life. So which is a bigger deal? Which is why people pick your wedding over the game. But they're not happy about it, and you don't have to make them make that choice. Now, the one thing that you have to consider is if we all adhere to the no fall weddings stance, this plan, then and everything gets consolidated into the summer months, which is when weddings should be. But then you could have people. Then you'd have to choose between two weddings.
Yeah,
which
that's
one do you
problem.
go to?
That's a problem. You don't want that.
You run out of venues.
Right. That's what I was thinking too. There's no way you could do that because the venues would be all booked up for the next, 100 years. But I will say if I were to plan a fall wedding as an Ohio State fan, guess what? The schedule comes out early.
That's true.
So early, so in advance that you can look and see when's the bye week and schedule it then.
People pick their dates far in advance, but if you're picking your dates so far in advance that you don't even know the football schedule,
that might be a bad sign.
It's too far in advance. Why are you even saying you're getting married at that point? Right. That shouldn't even count.
Yeah.
So we're with Travis Kelce on this one. He says also too that he just doesn't know anybody that's married that happily married that got married fall.
They've all broken up or something. Oy.
So that could be take that into consideration too. But we're with him.
Well, last night I feel like we may have gotten a preview of what the NBA Finals will look like, Hudson.
Oh, did we?
I think we may have. The Cleveland Cavaliers beat the OKC Thunder in the NBA yesterday, and it was a pretty big deal. It was on ESPN, so national broadcast game.
Yeah. And
the Cavs were coming in with a 10-game win streak. OKC was coming in with a 15-game win streak, which, if you remember earlier in the year, Cleveland started the season on a 15-game win streak. So anytime you can get 15 wins in a row is a pretty big deal. So
and then to have 15 wins and 10 wins in a row both in the same season.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Pretty good. And Cleveland now has extended that to 11 with this huge win against OKC. Pretty much these are the best two teams as far as record goes in the NBA currently. You know, OKC in the Western Conference, Cleveland in the Eastern Conference. So a lot of people are thinking this might be a little preview, a little snack for the NBA Finals.
Do you really believe that?
Boston is still there.
Yeah.
You know, as a Cleveland fan, I'm like, I want it to be true, but Boston is still in the way.
Yeah. First of all, I don't know what it is about the NBA and hockey is like this too, that like, you know, in the NFL or in college football, if there happens to be a matchup of two teams that very well may meet in the championship, then that feels really special. I think because it's so rare, like, because they only play one game then if they get to the finals.
Yeah.
Where in NBA, even if this is a preview of Cavs Thunder, it doesn't necessarily tell us all that much because they will still play a 7-game series where adjustments will be made. Lots of things will change between now and then. So it doesn't feel quite as special. But also, yeah, I fear for both of these teams that there's another thing about the NBA is the teams that finish at the top of the standings at the end of the season, for some reason, always wind up faltering eventually in the playoffs, whether it's because they've worn themselves out during the regular season or because the teams that are true title contenders know and that you have to load manage yourself in the NBA during the regular season. And so they're not going all out. Like the Celtics have won once. They're not going all out. The Nuggets have won. They're not going all out to win every game they can in the regular season. They're saving themselves for the playoffs. Whereas the Cavs, it may pay off for them because I've heard like I think they're on pace to have a chance to break the record for most wins in a season.
They're currently on pace for at least tying it, which is 73 wins in a season with the Golden State record. And OKC is on pace to also hit 70. So both of these teams are really kind of on a collision course to what you would think would be the NBA Finals. But obviously, like you said, you can never tell with the NBA. Sometimes you do have those big upsets. But from what I've watched so far with both of these teams, obviously I've watched more of Cleveland because I am a Cavs fan. They do seem like the best teams, and so it just feels like they're not going to lose on a given night. You know, it's different in the playoffs. You got more effort. You've got more kind of game management that is, you know, it's like on the micro level. What you're seeing right now is on the macro level, but when you get in the playoffs, those adjustments are just a little bit different, and so it can really affect you. But Cleveland has been building over the past few seasons, and I feel like they're really, really on the cusp of something that maybe because they have this new coach, Kenny Atkinson. They one of the articles last night from Tim Bontemps of ESPN said when he walked into the Cleveland locker room after the game, the players were literally telling Kenny Atkinson, last year we would not have won this game because it was a close one. Yeah. It was a close battle between both of these heavyweights, and Cleveland thankfully came out on top. But this shows you that they're really on the cusp of something. Boston's still there. I'm not saying that they're going to beat Boston, but I think they have a good shot of making it to the finals. I
mean, I'd definitely be pulling for them over Boston. Yeah. For sure. And it could be Donovan Mitchell for the Cavs finally comfortable and like locked up long term.
And he's not playing as much as he was last season. They're not load managing him, but they're not making him play like, 40 minutes each night.
It would be fun if it does wind up being the finals. Let's say that. A big move by AT&T. If they're your internet provider, they are for me actually.
Same.
And so in a way, I'm just at the very lowest level of excited about this. Okay. They have announced that they are going to start crediting customers that experience a fiber outage. If your internet goes down for more than 20 minutes, they will give you a full day bill credit. I don't know what that depends how much you pay per month, right? How much that would equal out to. But not only that, they are also going to try to repay you for customer service wait times. If you call in to AT&T's customer support and you have to wait on hold for more than 5 minutes, they'll send you a $5 Visa gift card.
Oh, $1 for each minute.
Yeah. I have to wonder, first of all, if there's people out there, there's always, anytime there's something like this, there's always people that want to game the system.
Yeah.
If there's people that are literally going to just call over and over again,
Oh.
just trying to find if they can, trying to get put on hold
Trying
for
to
over 5
take
minutes.
advantage. Yeah, I will say I have had to call AT&T a couple times just to set up service,
Yeah.
because I've moved a few times and had to, get a new router or whatever installed. And I never feel like they have really bad wait times. I feel like I've always gotten through quite quickly. So I think through this, new system they've set up here with this $5 Visa gift card, I think they're pretty much just touting that they don't usually have bad wait times, or else why would they set this up?
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's just like when the, pizza companies or whatever would say 30 minutes or less, because they know there's a very unlikely
low chance that they'll get it to you in more than that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, AT&T's probably thinking too, this is only if you call, not if you chat them. And they're thinking for almost all issues, people are just going to use the chat if they can and not call, which brings me to my point that I wish they would pay me back for when I chat them and then they ignore me. This is my top thing.
That's happened to you before?
Yeah, where they don't respond. And it's not just
Really?
AT&T. It's just I always will choose the virtual chat versus just calling somebody.
Yeah, we established yesterday you got the phone anxiety problem. Yep.
Yeah, and it's just more convenient because if you're on the phone, you have to do nothing but be on the phone, right?
Yeah, if you're on hold, you can do other things.
Yeah, but if I'm on chat, I can talk with them at my convenience and also get other stuff done if I need to, or
Okay.
just move on with my life and wait for them to respond when they're there.
Yeah.
The problem is they will they'll ask a question and you'll answer, and then they won't answer for a long time.
Yeah.
And but if I do the same thing to them, after 1 minute, they're like, "Are you still with us, Hudson? Right. Please respond to make sure I'm still with you."
End the chat.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I this feels like such a thing that my mom would do, but I will now respond to that. If they go more than a minute and I'm sitting there waiting for an answer, I'll send the exact same thing to them.
Are you still there?
Yeah. Are you still with me, AT&T? But they're not going to give me $5 Visa gift cards for that, apparently.
Sorry about your luck there.
Yeah.
Maybe you should just stop choosing the chat and start calling them.
I guess I should just call.
Yeah.
Because now
it's worth it on both ends because you may get an answer quicker, and if you don't, you'll get a $5 Visa gift card.
Yeah. Either way, I feel like I leave slightly happier.
Yeah.
At least, but and this should be mentioned that it's going to be on us as AT&T customers to make sure that they actually hold up their end of the bargain.
Right, they got to follow through.
I don't know if they're just going to automatically send out a credit to you every time your internet goes down for more than 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It's going to be on you to document it and call them out and be like, "Hey, I was remember that time the internet was down, you owe me."
Yeah.
That's on us.
You owe me $4.
Yeah, and how much trouble do you want to go through to get that $5 Visa gift card or that 1-day bill credit? So it is actually crazy how many fast food chains and just grocery stores and whatever have their own merch lines now, and I guess people actually buy them. Right. I know, I feel like Popeyes this is one of the things that got started because I remember them several years ago, they put out a collection with Beyonce. And so I think Beyonce helped them design their uniforms, but then she also designed other stuff that was Popeyes branded.
Okay.
That you could just buy.
Yeah.
And now it's not just Popeyes, it's Taco Bell. It's Aldi for some reason.
Aldi's got it. Yeah.
Heinz
Chick-fil-A.
ketchup. Yeah.
I didn't know about the Heinz.
Yeah. You can, Pizza Hut is huge on this, right?
Yeah.
That if you want to wear your favorite restaurant, you probably can. And why do they do this? I mean, one, to make money, but that's not their bread and butter of, the way they stay in business is selling the food or their product. It's not the merch line.
Yeah.
But it's so that you can identify with, show to the world that you love Heinz ketchup.
Rep their brand.
Looking at Nene. I think the only reason he doesn't have that is because they don't make it in black.
That's true.
But you can show to the world that you love Heinz ketchup. It makes you think about Heinz ketchup even more because you're thinking about when you put it on and you're like, "Oh yeah, I gotta have some Heinz ketchup today."
Right.
And then you're showing that off to other people too. And it's not just food brands. It's not just grocery stores. It's all kind of like just every company.
Yeah.
Every company, every movement is desperate, it seems, to have. And I think it's because there's so much, in part, because there's so many things that are vying for your attention that if they can find a way to make you think about their thing even more and to show other people that thing, that's obviously just going to be good for business for them. There's so many companies and movements that are desperate for you to identify with them, for that to be like your thing,
right?
At least one of your things.
Yeah.
But many of these things, like at the end of the day, as much as I love Popeyes, what good is it doing me to identify with them?
Yeah, it's not doing too much good. Obviously, they want you to be brand loyal to them. But yeah, I love what you said there because it's so true. And in our world today, especially like this 21st century Western world that we all live in, we are seeing this constantly on social media, in the news. Everything is vying for your attention and everything is trying to kind of like put an identity stamp on you and tell you this is what you are.
Wear these clothes, put this in your Instagram bio, put this flag on your name, on your X profile.
You're supposed to follow these people, not these people. Like they're putting us all in a box. And yeah, I hate that so much because that should not be what defines us,
Yeah, no, as much as there are good causes and whatever that also have to be lumped in with this.
Yeah.
The truth is that all of these things they're not going to give us as much as we really are giving them by identifying with them.
Right, yeah.
There's only one case where it's true that identifying with something will give you more than you give that thing. And that is God. That's Jesus. When you identify with Jesus, it doesn't mean you have to wear a Jesus shirt all the time. Although some people do.
You can.
You can. You absolutely can. But it doesn't mean that. But truly identifying with something means that it takes over your life.
Yeah.
And when God takes over your life, that can only be good because Jesus loves you and he wants what's best for you and he knows the best way to live. And so when you identify with God, that's going to give you way more. You have the God of the entire universe that's willing to spend time with you and help you through life. That's going to give you way more than you ever give God, which is absolutely the opposite of buying Aldi merch.
Right. Well, and think of it. You're identifying with your creator. This is your identity. It's not that you're choosing to identify with something that's outside of you.
Yeah.
But literally, your identity is established in God because he is your creator. So it's the right thing to do, like you'll feel so much more fulfilled when you find yourself in that moment versus like identifying with Target. That's not your true identity. You can enjoy those things, but that's not going to bring that fulfillment to you compared to when you finally realize when your identity is in Christ, that is the vital thing that you need. When you finally find that moment, it's like, oh man, it feels so good.
Yeah.
So that's the difference there.
It does. I could go on this all day, but I'm going to not. But so many things too. Once they coerce you into identifying with them, then it almost makes you like you start to get upset when other people don't also identify with them, and that is like why are you signing up for that? But that's not what Jesus wants you to do. God wants you to find your identity in Him and rest in that and experience that. And it's easy. All you need to do is ask, say, hey, God, I want you in my life. I want you to be the number one thing. And I want to know more about what that's like. And he will show you. He'll walk you through it. You can go to radiou.com/free gift. That's a great place to start. I am going to open up the Hudson hotline.
877-2-RADIO-U.
I want to know, this is a chance for everybody to brag. What is your best sports accomplishment in life?
Oh.
You can send that in. I don't know why exactly this was on my mind. I guess in part because going back like about a week or so, you mentioned that you had finally won after months and months of trying your first pickleball match.
Yes.
You call it a match?
No, a game.
A game. You finally won your first pickleball game. Mm-hmm. And so that's impressive. Is that your best sports accomplishment in life?
I don't think so because I've won several since then. So I don't feel like if that was my only win, I'd be like cherishing it a little bit more. But since I've won multiple times since then and kind of have adjusted my game thanks to some pickleball friends that have given me some tips. I think that would be a little different if it was only the one time. But yeah, I think I have something in mind for this, but I'll have to think on it to see if there's anything that tops it.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what people say because, of course, there could be. I'm sure the Hudson Show, we've got plenty of listeners that have won state championships in football and whatever, like the typical stuff you would think of that's like actually a really big accomplishment.
Right.
But for most of us, we aren't.
Mine's not going to be that cool.
We are professional athletes, and so whatever the highest level of whatever we've done is probably pretty comical to actually speak out loud, but we're going to find out. So let us know at 8772-RADIO-U your best sports accomplishment in life. We do have several good answers coming in. A few people saying that they've been able to finish a marathon. Of course, our very own Nene managed to do that. Timothy said when he could bench more than his own body weight.
Oh, yeah. That's pretty
not
big
easy.
deal.
Yeah, I hope I can do that one day. I'm going to have to get much lighter. Susanna says, and this adds up with Susanna. She says, I'm a pretty great jazzercise instructor, where I combine my stunning athleticism and enthralling stage presence. She says she's basically a rock star. So she has her best sports moment 4 times a week. I know where I need to go if I ever want to learn jazzercise.
Yeah.
It's Susanna.
We should definitely do it sometime.
Yeah. Also, did you see Regina's?
I did, and it did make me laugh out loud.
Regina says this was several years ago, but she was playing kickball in gym, and there was a jerk in class, and whenever I kicked the ball, it went straight to him, and I think it hit him in the face. Either way, I definitely shut him up.
Greatest sports moment.
Kudos to you.
Jerk in
Kudos to you. Never forget that, Regina. Allie, what is yours?
So I was trying to think. I was like, is there anything that is big or major? But I was never really a part of organized sports because they didn't really exist where I grew up. But I did play golf in high school. And I remember I was so excited one time when I had just first started playing. And the best part of my game was my my short game. So when you're approaching the green.
Yeah.
And I actually won a chipping and putting competition amongst all the, people that played in my age range. And I was so excited because I got to pose for a picture with the pro from the, the golf course that we were, taking these lessons at and doing this golf stuff. And so I was so excited. I got this little set of golf balls and everything that were Titleist, and they were my first ever Titleist golf balls or whatever. So yeah, that's probably my best sports accomplishment.
That's not bad. That's pretty solid.
Yeah.
I think it beats mine. And also, I think you can tell a lot about a person by when, not being able to see us, you can tell how athletic we are by when our athletic accomplishments took place.
Yeah.
None of mine have happened since I was in high school, basically. So I won a youth group dodgeball tournament, not solo, but I was on a team.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Not bad.
I in high school in homeschool gym, whenever we would play hockey, I would always dominate. We play, it wasn't field hockey, it was ball hockey.
Yeah.
On a soccer field. I came to life at that time. And I scored, double-digit goals in a game against homeschoolers, co-ed homeschoolers. But then, if you were looking at a sports reference page of my life, though, the top accomplishment I would have was making baseball all-stars when I was in Little League. I was 12 or 13.
Ooh.
But that's way less impressive when you actually know the facts of. There was only 2 kids that got left off the team.
Aww.
Our team folded partway through the All-Star season.
No!
Because other kids dropped off of the team. And the year that I made All-Stars, and some people have heard this story before, I didn't actually get a hit in the regular season. Which makes me think, what gave me the audacity to try out for All-Stars in the first place? Well, but I did make it.
You knew you probably had a good shot.
Yeah, I made it. The coach of the All-Star team was the same coach as my actual Little League team, so that's why I think I tried out. But that doesn't I can just say I made All-Stars when I was a kid.
Just leave it
Baseball
there.
All-Stars.
Leave it there.
Yeah, and that's good enough. I didn't have to give all the other context.
No.
Readers added context. Hudson didn't get us hit that year. You know what's so cool is tonight is the first night. They say this is the first time this has ever happened. 5 consecutive days with playoff football.
I'm so excited.
That's never happened in history before. We get a college football playoff game tonight, tomorrow, and then NFL playoffs Saturday, Sunday, and hopefully there's more important things, but there is supposed to be Rams versus Vikings on Monday night, I believe, in LA. We'll see how that goes. But let's talk football. Tonight, Notre Dame, Penn State, the Orange Bowl. The winner goes to the college football championship. What are your thoughts on the game tonight?
Oh, it's a big one. You just adding that statement to it adds so much weight, right? Obviously we can look at it and we're like, oh yeah, semifinal. But then when you realize it's like, no, one of these two teams is playing for the championship.
Yeah.
That adds that weight to it for sure.
And these are two programs too that, although they're very historic for a long time, particularly Penn State, have had a lot of history of not actually being able to do this.
Right.
Although they've been good, not getting to the championship game.
I think that's the beauty of this new playoff format is it's really opening it up for some of those blue bloods that just haven't been to the championship in many years. You look at Notre Dame, you look at Penn State, and you think of them as those big brands in college football. And it's like, when was the last time they won a championship?
I don't think I know I can't remember. I don't think I was alive for either of them being. I remember Notre Dame being in the championship game against Alabama and they got blown out.
Yeah.
That's the only time I remember either of these two teams doing anything of this level.
Right. And so it's a big deal for both of these teams, obviously. I don't know how this game is going to go, but I will say my lean is to Notre Dame. Not because I don't think Penn State can match them. I think this is going to be quite an even game and a tight one. But I feel like Penn State has really lucked out with their route of getting to the semifinal. And we talked about this before the first round. They had the easiest path. They got to play SMU first at home. That was obviously not too hard of a win for them. And then they got to play Boise State, which was a little closer of a game. But I do feel like overall, Boise State looked overmatched in some aspects by Penn State. So I feel like Penn State might not have been challenged that much leading to this game. So I think my lean is to Notre Dame.
I'm thinking Notre Dame too. And it kind of goes to what you were saying, but I was thinking the gap. Penn State, both teams have a great defense.
Yeah.
Penn State does have a very good quarterback, Drew Aller.
Yes.
There is a gap, I would say, between Drew Aller and, because he may be the best, he's not supposed to come out in the draft this year, or at least he said he's not, but, they're doing really well. Things could change. He may be the best quarterback that Notre Dame has faced. He probably is.
Yeah.
But I don't think the gap between Penn State's offense and the best offense that Notre Dame has seen earlier this year, I don't think that's a wide gap.
Yeah.
Compared to Penn State has seen one really, truly good defense, I think, earlier this year.
Yeah.
That was Ohio State.
Yes.
They didn't score an offensive touchdown the entire game.
No, that was a really bad game for Penn State. And Ohio State didn't particularly play amazing in that game, but their defense did. I think it's tough because I feel like Penn State earned their way here to the semifinal. But like I said, I just feel like you have to take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Because, yes, you did have to win who was on your schedule. You had to win who you had to play in this playoff. And this is just who they had to play.
Yeah.
But I feel like you have to give Notre Dame the advantage because they won the tougher games and Penn State just didn't have those.
And they looked better in the tough, they dominated Indiana.
Yep.
They played very well versus Georgia. Granted, it was a backup quarterback, but it's still a tough defense to go up against.
Right.
And they were able to navigate that. So that's comparable to what they'll face with Penn State. And then Penn State, you have to remember too, they played what many would say is lesser competition in these last two playoff games. SMU moved the ball for a while. They just kept turning it over.
Yeah.
And Boise State was a close game.
It was closer for sure.
Until the very end.
Yeah.
So I've really talked myself into Notre Dame.
I think it'll still be close, though.
I also think Marcus Freeman, the coach of Notre Dame, a better in-game coach than James Franklin, too.
Potentially.
We may see that tonight. All I'm saying is 5 straight days of playoff football. What do we do to deserve this? We're a few days into the new year, but I think it's never a bad time to get some good advice, especially if you're working on a New Year's resolution. You want to make sure you can keep it going, or maybe it's not too late to start one.
Yeah.
And today we have some advice coming in the form of our relationship expert, a real relationship coach. Sheena is here. Welcome to the Hudson Show. Welcome back to the Hudson Show. Sheena, good to see you again.
Good to see you. Happy 2025.
Yes. Happy New Year. Now, I know that, there's lots of different New Year's resolutions, but I know that one that is common, especially because New Year, then you've only got like a month and a half until Valentine's Day. There's a lot of people want to get on top of the relationships and want to get, step up their dating game a little bit. So I want to know from you, first of all, in your experience, what is like the top resolution that somebody could have? What is the top advice you would give to just the average person that's ready to start dating a little better in 2025?
Yeah, that's a great question. I love the idea of being a better dater. So not just dating, but how do we do this better? So the big one that I think is great for 2025 is to set a 3-date rule. So a lot of first dates are really awkward, and then we never see them again. We don't call them. And then it just becomes kind of this story that's either funny or awkward. So, so by setting that 3-date rule, you accept that it's supposed to be awkward. Whenever you sit down with somebody for the first time, it's supposed to be awkward. So by accepting that and getting comfortable with it, by setting a 3-date rule, you're really allowing for an opportunity to happen that a lot of us cut off because things didn't go perfectly or just the way we wanted it to. Because to get to really know somebody within a 30-minute time span or even a 2-hour time span is not realistic. So by setting that up, you take a lot of pressure off. The anxiety can go down of, okay, don't have to get this just right. Go to the exact right place, say all the right things in this one time. So by doing that, we also really help kind of accept and get comfortable with that awkwardness that is bound to come with dating. So that's huge. My other big one that I would say, though, for 2025 is pledge to date yourself. So if you're just, getting really focused on dating, everybody else, you kind of forget about you.
Right.
And you forget I have to kind of like me and my company. And whenever we're by ourselves, if we don't know what to do, that's kind of a big red flag, and it's going to negatively impact our relationship. So pledge to take yourself out once a month to a fancy dinner, go to a concert, and who knows, maybe you'll find that person while you're out there by yourself, because you're kind of inaccessible and unapproachable if you're in this big group or even with another person. So it's not a bad way to go.
Yes, I love that idea. I think I like dating myself too much.
Well, we know another way that people tend to date, especially in our modern era and in 2025, is by joining the dating apps. That's common during the new year, especially. So what's your advice for people that are jumping on the dating apps and looking to, start a relationship there?
Yeah. So first of all, dating apps are really tough. I think we all know that it's just a really competitive place, and it's really hard to get that attention. So I think if we all just kind of slowed down and took a curious approach rather than a critical one, and really read profiles and, asked myself, what do I like about this person, or what am I seeing that's interesting versus, oh no, their hair color is wrong, or they live 20 minutes away too far. I think it's just very easy to kind of see a dating app as a game where we're just kind of moving through it as quick as possible. So really slowing down, not playing the swipe-a-thon game where we've gone through 100 profiles in 20 minutes, and set some boundaries of, I'm going to spend this much time on dating apps, and also give yourself some time for real-world interactions as well. So those are big things, but a tool that I would use for people using dating apps is a date diary. And what that is just a short journal of your dating experiences. So if you're kind of recording what went well, what didn't go well, what did I like about this, what did I learn, that really gives us a way to kind of go back and see what's going on here. So if you're noticing, wow, out of the last 10 people I reached out to, only one responded. I just said hi every time. Maybe that's not working. And, having that evidence of what's going on can really give us some insight and help us make intentional choices about this is working, this isn't working. And I think just kind of having that can also be a fun way to kind of go back and see this is what my experience was like in 2025.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. We're here with Sheena, a relationship expert, an actual relationship coach, and so many of us need it sometimes. Sheena, I've got there's a trend that's been going around that I've seen here early in 2025 where maybe people are turning away from the dating apps a little bit and trying a different approach, but still turning to a different app. It's just TikTok this time, where we're seeing people put out boyfriend or girlfriend, or say that they are accepting boyfriend and girlfriend applications on TikTok. They put out like a bunch of requirements, like it's a job application, no short kings or whatever. How do you feel about this approach? If somebody came to you and said, this is what I'm trying, how do you feel about that? And how does it compare to hitting the dating apps?
So I think this is a really fun new way to get creative because so many people are bored of dating apps. They're not finding them to be working. So I think it's really fun, but I think it really depends on who you are, if this is going to work for you. So if you're really extroverted and are great at creating content and you have a great social media following, that'd be, that might work for you. But if you're really introverted and shy and, not tech savvy, that might not be the best way to go. So I think it really just kind of depends on who you are, if that's going to be your kind of route to dating or not. But ultimately, if you're interested in it, I say try it. It can't hurt to kind of, explore your options. So my big thing with dating is that it's just like any other skill. It takes practice. You're not going to just show up and be good at this if you've never really, had any luck with dating. Tom Brady didn't show up to the Super Bowl and just win it one day, right? He had to play countless games, go to countless practices to end up at that point. So dating is the same way. You have to practice. So if getting on TikTok and telling people this is what I want, this is what I don't want, that's great practice to identify this is what's for me and really getting a chance to talk about that and put yourself out there. So my big message for 2025 is practice. You don't have to see every message on a dating app or every date as the big game. This is just practice. So that gives you the opportunity to play, experiment, be curious, and even fail. It's not a failure if you're in practice and you don't do it right. Yeah. So I think just kind of shifting that perspective a little bit takes that pressure off and allows people to really understand this is what I want and to get better at that skill.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Not me, I'm married. But let's do it in 2025. Let's start practicing dating instead of treating it like the end of the world, like life and death.
Right.
I think that's some good advice. Well, Sheena, you're always full of great advice. We're glad to have you here. If you want to find out more about Sheena, it's wellness360coach.com/Sheena-Hansel. Sheena, thanks for joining the Hudson Show once again.
Thanks for having me.
It's RadioU. You hear a lot of sad, insane things come out of North Korea from time to time. This might be the saddest.
Okay.
The saddest I've ever heard. If these reports are true, Kim Jong-un recently decided to decree to ban hot dogs in that fine country of North Korea.
Oh, I am so sorry for your loss, Hudson.
He's taken away the hot dogs from the people. Apparently, if reports can be believed, which is always, anytime it's North Korea, you kind of never know. But he allegedly decreed that the serving or selling of hot dogs is now classified as an act of treason.
Oh my gosh.
It's serious business in North Korea to have anything to do with hot dogs. Apparently, Kim Jong-un has recently been on a tear of banning all kinds of delicious treats that to him represent values unaligned with the North Korean way of life. Oh, values like joy, fun, happiness, deliciousness.
Values that don't align with starvation because that's what they're doing.
Yeah, seriously.
That seems to be the value of North Korea is starving its people. And, a food like that, we may not consider it super healthy or nutritious, but, it's something where it's like, it seems a little counterintuitive when your people are starving here, bud.
You got to at least give them something.
Yeah.
And, but I don't know. Yeah, maybe he just thought the people they were too nourished and also too happy.
Yep.
And so he had to take the hot dogs away. And it hits close to home to him, I guess, because they are seen as a symbol of westernization.
Yeah.
Western culture. And hot dogs have become incredibly popular in South Korea, the neighboring South Korea. Not only the traditional hot dog, but also they call them corn dogs, but these are corn dogs that have no actual hot dog within them. I've had some of these things, and you can go to there are South Korean wiener shops that pop up all over the place that do sell these very, like, potatoes will be involved. Cheese. Sometimes it's literally just mozzarella cheese on a stick, fried and whatever in corn dog batter.
Okay.
Some of them are very good.
Okay. I mean, it doesn't sound like it would be horrible.
They call them all corn dogs, even though
there's
to
no
my
dog.
mind, there's no dog involved. I had one that had a fish cake inside.
Okay.
That was not good.
I was going to say, I don't know if I'd like that.
An affront to corn dogs.
Seems like a mix of two things that just wouldn't go together very well. I do like fish, but it just feels like the flavor.
Not in cake form.
Yeah, the flavor there just doesn't feel like it's going to work.
The corn dog batter could not save that fish. That fish cake.
Oh, yeah. This is no surprise, as we've said. He is kind of going on a little tear with these banning stuff. But it seems like with this grow of popularity for hot dogs in South Korea, he's just like, nope, that people can't have it.
Yeah.
We have to be absolutely opposite of everything that South Korea is.
South Korea and the United States stand for.
Yes,
and
which we know that's ultimately what he's trying to do, is he's trying to make it not like the United States. But for sure, if South Korea is doing something, he's like, yep, we got to run in the opposite direction.
And ultimately, what we stand for here in the United States, as much as anything, especially here on the Hudson Show, is hot dogs.
Yes.
We stand for hot dogs, and we stand for hot dogs. And so this is sad. I never want to deprive anyone of a hot dog.
No.
So I do feel for the North Korean people for this and so many other reasons.
Right. Hudson, do you know that the Starbucks logo is not what the original logo used to be?
I've heard this.
Yeah.
I think I've seen versions of the logo before. It used to be a little more risque, as I remember.
Yeah, it used to be a little NSFW. we'll go with that.
It was SFW, but it was SFS. Safe for Starbucks.
Safe for Starbucks,
They could just
apparently.
display it,
Yeah, so if you actually go on the Starbucks website, they have a little section where they talk briefly about their history, and they mentioned that their Terry and their founders, they got together and made up this, company name with the whole Starbucks idea. And then also the founder was like scouring through some old Marine books, and he found an illustration that caught his eye when they were trying to come up with this, logo. And it depicted a siren, which is a part of Greek mythology.
Yeah.
And it was a twin-tailed mermaid. And let me tell you, the first iteration of this logo is very odd.
Well, I'm looking at it now. I'm afraid because it is NSFW. She's topless.
She's completely topless.
I wonder why I caught his eye. Flipping through. Oh! Look at those.
Oh my gosh.
His eyes popped out of his head like a cartoon.
It's like,
a cartoon dog. Yeah.
No.
And he couldn't keep that to himself. Put that on the store.
It's like, that's the one. That's the logo right there.
People will come to our coffee shop. They'll probably be expecting something much different based off of this logo.
Right.
But once they're in, what are they going to do? Not get a coffee?
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, it has changed since. Obviously, it's still the mermaid.
Yeah.
With the weird tails coming up over by her head. I always thought that was her hands. That's her tails.
That'd be weird hands to have, though.
It would be. It's like crab hands almost,
And technically, I don't know. It's very minimalist,
yes.
But it seems to me that she could still be topless. It's just that her hair is covering.
She's
keeping her decent.
Right. She's got the classic mermaid hair going to block anything. So, so yeah, they changed it because obviously they realized this is not a great look for, us as we're going nationwide. And so they changed it to a more family friendly version of the same logo. And as you said, also a little bit more simplistic and also easier to read because the other one had a lot of detail.
Yeah.
This one had less detail, more just, you can see it's more of a striking image.
Yeah.
But
it gets to the point.
It does. But
and it's not, you're not distracted by the nipples.
No, distracted or allured. Yeah. But I do think it's interesting that they chose the whole siren thing, because the whole, lore of the siren from Greek mythology is that she would sing to passing sailors to lure them into the water.
Yeah.
So this seems like they kind of went with that theme of like, oh, it's a siren and she's luring you in to come pay for our overpriced coffee.
That's a good point. Is there a hidden message there?
I think subliminal, for sure.
That we didn't ever pick up on.
Yeah, the siren's calling to you.
It's
Starbucks.
It's actually crazy that this used to be their logo. Even Hooters did not have the audacity that Starbucks did when they got started. Thanks for listening to The Hudson Show. Please don't forget to rate and review the podcast.